often hear about how we should warn our kids about stranger danger. Psychologists Tania Johnson and Tammy Schamuhn are here, and they say that's not the ideal approach. So good morning to you both.
Morning.
Let's talk about this, Tania, because, growing up, that was a common refrain. Do not talk to strangers. Why is that not the right advice?
I think that we all heard stranger danger. I definitely did. But what we know is that 90% of kids actually know their perpetrators. So when we say stranger danger, it says to kiddos that all strangers are bad and everybody we know are good, which doesn't protect them, and it also creates fear. So what we want to do instead is start talking to our kids about tricky people, which then moves the conversation to alarming situations.
Okay, very interesting. So how should we word things to our kids? How do we go about this? Because it seems like very delicate.
Okay, well, honestly, we're going to break it down into a couple different things. So let's say we're going to talk to our kids about special alone time. That's one thing. That when an adult or another child, because it can sometimes be a child, it's not necessarily, perpetrator isn't necessarily an adult.
Right.
Often it's other peers. So it could be a babysitter, it could be anybody like that. So we would say that anytime someone wants you to be alone with them and they insist on mom or dad not being there, that is not a good thing. That's something you come to us about. So that special alone time. Boundaries, saying to kids, if someone ever comes into your space or touches you or makes you uncomfortable or makes you feel scared, and it makes you feel embarrassed or kind of a yucky feeling or scared, you come and tell us. That's whether they do something to you or ask you to do something to them. There are the idea of secrets, that if anybody asks you to keep a secret from your mom or your dad, whoever the caretakers, the primary caregivers are,
Right.
that's not okay. Especially body secrets are not okay. Then we would have another thing would be images. So anytime, if someone ever shows you an image of someone's body, like a naked body, and they tell you not to tell anyone, you have to let us know. And this is where we talk to kids about like pornography, because often part of the grooming process is showing children pictures. And then which leads to the talk about with our kids if anybody asks to take a picture of your body, of your private parts, that this is something you need to share with us. So these are like not only tricky people, but tricky behaviors that, that people start to use. And, are often the helpers are strangers. So the harm comes from people that the children know.
Okay.
Not from, someone who they might need to call, a police officer or a firefighter.
Who would be a stranger until they get to know them in this situation.
Exactly.
Yes. So Tania, it sounds like we have to build a lot of strong communication with our kids. How do we do that?
Absolutely. So we really want to talk to our children about who they can talk to. So it can be people in the family, mom, dad, grandma, but then we also need other supports like teacher, school counselor, because they will talk to different people depending on the situation.
Okay.
The other thing that we want our children to know is that they will never, ever be in trouble for coming to talk to us about tricky situations or tricky people. And the last one is really powerful. Intuition is such a great communicator. So we really want to work with our kids to understand when their body feels comfortable versus uncomfortable.
Right.
And then also to listen to them when they say that they're uncomfortable. So if they don't want to hug a relative, it's really important that we listen to them, because in that way they start to trust those feelings. In the context of tricky people, we want to say to them, when somebody's being tricky, we often get a really icky feeling in our body. That is our body's message to stop, take a moment, and then go talk to one of our safe people.
Okay, this is an important conversation. Thank you so much for coming in
So welcome.
and sharing this with us. Tania and Tammy are the authors of a parenting handbook. You can find more at instituteofchildpsychology.com.